Thanks very much, guys. That was a very interesting conversation. Just one note, apparently we're now serving more than 500 streams on the net, and we've been bumped up to the front page of Ustream. So our stream is accessible on the front page, which is pretty cool. We were monitoring comments during the break, and boy, some of you guys are kind of brutal. Somebody said I looked like Al Franken.
That was me, though.
It wasn't exactly the look I was going for. Nihar, you want to talk about some of what you're saying?
Well, we did get some brutal comments, but we also did get some interesting debates. From Twitter, we got one from Mary Louise Schumacher from Milwaukee. Balancing trusted sources versus grassroots voice. Seems that both will be important over time.
She's actually the art critic at the Journal Sentinel, which is kind of interesting because they laid off pretty much all the rest of their critics. She's really, truly the last one standing.
And David Burke in Davenport, Iowa has sort of a counter to that. Are we getting to a battle of expertise versus who yells the loudest? And then we have a funny comment here from Tony Baltiera, who I believe is in the room here. Detroit is having a great week. They finally won a football game, and they got a shout-out here.
Really the big time.
Big time, yeah. A couple of interesting comments on live chat, sort of riffing on what Laura said about her relationship with the New York Times book reviews. Some critics have the personality and wit that makes you want to read them, even though you'll never see the show, which I think is, something very similar to what you were saying. And this question keeps coming up, is it hard to trust a curator if they're being paid by the arts organization? And it seems like everybody leans more towards full disclosure when it comes to where your funding sources come from, but certainly a lot of people have questions about that. And a general comment, Seth's appearance here sparked off a debate about whether Super Mario Brothers or Duck Hunt was the better 8-bit Nintendo game. And Seth, do you have a comment, Super Mario Brothers or Duck Hunt?
Read the paper to find out.
Read the paper to find out.
Read the paper.
Read the paper. Not online, not on your iPhone, read the paper. And I think that's about it. And remember the hashtag if you're watching at home or at one of our satellite gatherings. It's ArtsJ09. And keep the comments and questions coming, whether they're brutal or funny or whatever. And
Great.
That's it.
And I should point out, by the way, that it's Arts Journal, ArtsJ09. Some people started doing 09 because we were saying it that way, but that's the way to access it. Thanks very much, Neil.
Mm-hmm.
So now we get into our second group of projects. These are the projects that we chose through the competitive process. And I really want to downplay the whole idea of the competitive part of this. This was really a tool to really trying to suss out as many different ideas as we could get. These are projects which are illustrating ideas. And I want to also say that after, as soon as this webcast concludes, the voting will be open. And just a moment about the voting. There are a few hundred members of the National Arts Journalism Program and about 300 members of, or alumni of the NEA Arts Journalism Institute. And together we've kind of informally branded them a kind of an academy to be able to vote. These are all people who are active working arts journalists. And so voting will start right after this project, after this concludes, and will continue until October 23rd, and at which time we'll count the votes and announce the winners. They're all winners. October 30th. Our first project up is an exploration of community. And Departures, which is our first project, is an experiment in nonlinear community storytelling. If you ask a community to tell you its story and you won't get one, you get many. And how do you stitch those stories together? The way we traditionally do it is to create a narrative through it. But what if you were just to throw a lot of stories out there and let people find their own ways through it? What does it say about the culture that they're living. These stories themselves, for departures, come out of the communities themselves. The video is often shot by kids, and the way users experience the project is to go. It's kind of a mural online, and you click places that are interesting to you, and up pops somebody telling you a story. This is a multimedia site that can seduce you with its panoramic landscapes, but it kind of, in a way, deflects the immediate payback. It imposes its own pace on how it is that you use the site. The slickness and the beautifulness of the site itself kind of says, hey, this is a really expensive project. But in fact, it's a template that's been built, and once the template is built, it's actually not that resource intensive or difficult or expensive to make these. There have been half a dozen or so made about various neighborhoods in Los Angeles. And Juan Davis, who is the artist and the mastermind behind the idea of telling stories in this way.